Genocide Joe, Killer Kamala, Baby Killer Blinken, and hundreds of other war criminals are here in Chicago to celebrate themselves.
So much for joy. Pro-Hamas radicals erupting right now in the streets of Chicago for the DNC, chanting vile anti-Semitic slurs and terror slogans, and greeting Harris with a new nickname, Killer Kamala. Over 100,000 radical left protesters are expected to cause mayhem, and Chicago officials are encouraging the madness, allowing a 1.1-mile route for these protesters just blocks from the convention site. But businesses in the area aren't taking any chances, boarding up their storefronts, and the Democrats are being forced to use fake names when booking hotel rooms, out of fear that one of these crazies will confront them. Just last night, one of the freaks jumping on stage and grabbing the mic at a DNC welcome party. Watch this.
We are funding a genocide. The Harris-backed administration keeps sending money to Israel.
Greg, isn't it amazing how suddenly when the Democrats need protection, all of these police are on the streets, everything's being fenced up. Why don't they do this when there's a threat to regular citizens?
You know, I'm surprised nobody has called out the inherent racism of the Democrat Party. First, you're employing a wall. That's racist. Then you have this heavy presence of police. We know that's racist. And then you have this mandatory ID business, which is, of course, as you know, in an effort to be transparent, that is racist. So when border towns want a wall, racist. Business owners plead for police protection, racist. People want transparent elections, racist. But it's not racist when the Dems realize it's necessary. It's necessary to protect their power, themselves. It's just like when Cory Bush, was for defunding the police but had private security. This is that times 10. Does anybody tell the Democrats that the police also carry guns and that many of these police officers are white men? Right there are two racist dog whistles, right-wing elements that they're, again, exploiting for their personal behalf. It's kind of disgusting, but you're right. It is infuriating that basic things people need for their own safety and security is denied them. But for them, they get it whenever they want.
Killer Kamala, Judge Janine, how much of an impact do you think that'll be and this movement will have at this election?
Well, it appears that they're not separating Kamala from Biden. And according to, there is an organization, the chair of the organization called the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, quote, "We all come to a consensus," and there are many organizations, pro-Palestine organizations, "we come to the consensus that it won't make a difference if Harris represents this administration. They see it as Kamala Harris and Biden. So she is responsible. She can't say or do anything that will convince them that she is different or will be different than Biden. They want to promise that no arms will go there. And, try as they might, the Democrats sent Anthony Blinken to Israel, to the Middle East. I think he's in Tel Aviv yesterday. And he comes out today and he talks about the fact that Israel has accepted a proposal, as if anybody cares right now, because Hamas hasn't accepted anything. Hamas doesn't even show up. I mean, again, it's the smoke and mirrors. And, they've made it clear. I think when the woman took over the mic at the DNC welcome party, she said, "Welcome to Hell Week." I think we all know what that means for them. They are angry. They're upset about the proposal of the Democrats and the fact that they think that the United States is supporting genocide. It's that simple. And they may be ready with police, National Guard, their walls and their fences, which is really a sad commentary because it's for them and not ordinary people.
And this could backfire in many different ways on Dana's show, and we'll listen to it right now, on the Jewish vote.
I am so sick and tired with the election less than 100 days away of pretending that this anti-American, intellectually challenged, allergic to reality, petulant children have any role in normative policymaking. Universities, college students, the media, and far-left politicians have fed into this fantasy, and that's this crap that you're seeing at the DNC right now in Chicago. I want to have a clear reason to vote for the Democratic Party, but it seems that they are not intent on listening to Jewish voters.
It'd be interesting to see, Dana, if Donald Trump's able to capitalize on this.
One of the things he said also is that he went to the Trump event at Bedminster when he talked about anti-Semitism, and that you could say it was authentic, real, and that President Trump is asking for the vote and saying that he would be different. I did think that the pro-Hamas nuts would be the most crazy thing here and the most chaos, but I got to say that free abortions and free vasectomies offered by Planned Parenthood and championed by everybody here is very disturbing, and if you want to say weird. The tough thing for Kamala Harris is that she wanted to be the one that would separate herself, right? She was the first one to call for a ceasefire, and she got all sorts of attention for it. And yet they're still calling her genocide Kamala. And so I don't know how she's going to deal with it, but I did note that in the New York Times yesterday, they had a really deep dive into why Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, wasn't chosen. And the bottom line is because he's Jewish. Whereas Walz was the choice of the squad and every anti-Semitic high-profile Democrat. That was just the way it is. Now, I know Walz and Shapiro are very good friends. They've said no harm, no foul. I'm sure Shapiro will be here and give a great speech. But this issue, while it is down at the very tiny bit of what Democrats care about the most when they're going to vote, for these people, they are going to keep agitating on this issue, and they just might not end up voting for her anyway. So why not do the right thing and say the right thing and try to make sure that Shabbos has a reason to vote for the Democrats?
We are actually at Jesse Waters Primetime going to send Johnny to get a free vasectomy. And we'll have
on camera.
Whatever
Don't
happens
do it, Johnny.
later in the show this evening at 8 o'clock Eastern. Jessica, did you have to check into the hotel under a fake name?
No, I was all good. I went with my blatantly Jewish name and felt just fine about it, as majority of Democrats and Jewish liberals feel. So a couple of things, and I've really enjoyed everyone's comments on this. I have a little bit of a different take on it. So 70% of American Jews vote for the Democrats, and I believe that that number will be the same come November 5th. I don't think that any of this is going to make a substantial difference. I think that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have firmly stood with Israel. They have given all the arms that Netanyahu has asked for. He has said multiple times that he thanks the administration for it. And if people think that Donald Trump is going to be better for Israel, they have another thing coming, because guess what? The majority of American Jews and also Israelis favor a peaceful two-state solution, and Donald Trump doesn't care about that at all.
Okay.
Now to the protests. So I think that it really suits Republicans' narratives that everything is absolute chaos and falling apart. What I have seen so far, and you even said in the first block, 10,000 people are out there. I heard there are 100,000 people. I heard it's going to be terribly violent. I just see a bunch of people marching around with their flags and yelling and appearing generally pretty silly, and they're also unified by everyone who has a grievance. They have LGBTQ plus protesters, people who don't think we have enough reproductive freedoms. So it's a big hodgepodge, and it's meant to distract from the fact that this party, my party, is unified right now. Kamala Harris has seen a 26-point bump in enthusiasm since she came in. Gen Z voters coming home, Latino voters coming home, Black voters coming home. And if you look at our issues tracker, you saw her cut in substantially to Donald Trump's lead on the economy. He can't win the election if it's just an 8-point differential. On crime, he's only up 5 points. That's within the margin of error. Immigration also getting smaller, their difference there. And she is increasing on where Biden was on issues like healthcare, climate change, and of course, on how to handle abortion. So it is not chaos here. It is not chaos here, no matter what you say.
Okay.
The reason why there's no chaos there is because of the police presence and all of those places that had to be boarded up. Not a single place was boarded up in Milwaukee. We were
isolated in like a 3-block radius in Milwaukee, and everyone should check out the budgets that Donald Trump put forward and Joe Biden put forward, and you will see that there was more money going to law enforcement in Joe Biden's budget than there was in Donald Trump's.
Okay, and Johnny will be getting a free vasectomy
live on air
at 8 o'clock. We'll let you know how that goes ahead. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.